work with us, not for us. And for heaven's sakes, believe in us. I called her Arabi. I called her Sissy. I called her Arabi. So did most of her other friends, I think. It was short for Arabella Craddock. That name sort of went with her, too. I don't remember a lot about her now, about the way she looked at me. I just remember that she looked like her name was Arabi, or something like that. She was blonde. Not real blonde. She had kind of blonde that you're sure is natural, you know? And she wore her hair the way blonde girls should wear their hair, about shoulder length and simple. I guess it would come closer to being a page boy style than anything else. She had emerald eyes. They weren't green, they were emerald. Well, actually, not the kind of emerald you think of. I mean, they weren't like a jewel or anything. They were like a new, clean, empty 7-Up bottle when you hold it up to the sun, or like linen skin bracer or something. That kind of emerald. Blonde hair and those emerald eyes. And if that wasn't enough, she had a suntan. It wasn't really a suntan at all, but a natural skin coloring. All this makes Arabi sound like she was a complete dreamboat or something, but she really wasn't. I remember a buddy and I decided one day that Arabi was clean cut. That's really the only word. When I met Arabi, I was in some sort of thespian meeting at school. And since I knew a great deal about acting and all, I was being supremely cool that day. You know how you act when you're in your own habitat. Anyway, Arabi was there, and I saw her and started showing off and impressed her as far as I could tell. That Friday we went out. I really liked Arabi the more I knew her. That Friday we talked and talked after some dopey dance in the gym, and I felt real comfortable with her somehow. I wanted to kiss her that night, I remember, but I didn't. She had class, and I was afraid of messing everything up if I tried to kiss her on the first date. But I sure wanted to. I remember I said to her in the car that I thought we'd better go before I kissed her. It was the kind of remark you make just to see what the girl will do, you know. Well, she wasn't shocked or anything, but I figured that I'd better play it safe, so I shook her hand and winked and borrowed a little power from thinking how it would be the next time. It was a while after that I asked her out again. 2 or 3 weeks, I remember. But we didn't go anywhere that night either, really. Important to a football game, I think. But when we got to the door, she started acting funny, and I knew something was wrong. I talked for a while on the front porch, kind of feeling the situation out and all, and by the time the conversation hadn't gone too far, I knew that things were fouled up. She said she'd had a fever blister or something stupid, and I almost laughed, but it wasn't really that funny. Anyway, I didn't kiss her. Oh, I went ahead and tried, but she was pretty set, and so I didn't make a scene. I just left, said goodnight, and winked. About this time, I started hanging around with a bunch of kids from the choir at school. We were all pretty unpopular, I guess. I had maintained some degree of social prominence around school, but it never was for real. And then these kids came along, and I felt like I belonged to them or something. There was Franklin Bricky, who smoked London Dock and was best friends with Scott Ripley, who really didn't like Virginia Witt, who was always trying to make friends with Jan Rankin, who drove a 57 Chevrolet She Let Me Drive. You know, one of those kind of cliques. Well, there were a bunch more. We were always skipping school and pooling our money and buying some stuff from the delicatessen. Then we'd go to this huge abandoned old house with rolling lawns and a private lake and have a party on the shore of this lake. Or we'd all get together and have a party at my house. There were about 15 or 16 of us all together. It was getting pretty cold, and I still remember the frost on the inside of the car windows at Franklin's London Dock and the way leaves sound when they're dry. Every time it gets cold, I think of that time. Well, anyway, one night we decided we should have a party that weekend at my house. I asked Arabi to go. I don't know why. Araby really wasn't one of those type people. She was terribly popular, cheerleader and all, and was much sought after date, and I wasn't even sure she'd fit in with my little group. But I've been dating her some, and I felt like I just wanted her to come, you know. When Friday came around, snow was forecast, and sure enough, about noon, huge tufts of white snow sauntered down and seemed to sort of nestle on the ground. In Dallas, this was something of a rarity, and we were all pretty excited about it. By nightfall, the ground was covered with this white pelt, and it was really great to see. But the coolest part of the evening was the moon. How it could be snowing like it was, and have such a moon was amazing to me. Araby that night had on a white full-length cashmere coat, and was very soft when I helped her into the car. Everything smelled like an Eskimo pie, and I knew that I'd have a terrific time that night. And I did. Araby meshed quite smoothly into that little society, considering, and I fell more in love with her as the evening wore on. It didn't seem to make any difference that I had never been able to kiss her goodnight or anything, even though I wanted to all the time, even though she had shunned every time I'd asked her or tried to kiss her. Everything was just real great all of a sudden, and I thought Araby was cool beyond words. We left the party about 11:30, I guess. I know it was early. One thing we usually never did was drink, and so I had all my faculties on. And when we stepped outside to go, and I saw the snow and the moon, and felt the air, and smelled her white cashmere coat, I felt like I should yell or something. It was terrific, and it was all there, and all at the same time. I had to drive slow home because of the roads and all. We talked on the way home about nothing really. The headlights of the car made the snow look like fallen carnations, and made the road look clean and new and fresh. When we got to the door, we both stood there in the snow and looked at each other. I knew that Araby wanted me to kiss her. I knew it as sure as the world. I knew she wanted me to put my arms around her white cashmere coat and pull her close to me and kiss her gently and everything. I knew it. And I looked at Araby, and I just said good night and winked like I always had and walked away. And the snow crunched under the tires of the car, and the moon was shining, and everything smelled like an Eskimo pie. One must not